be working with YouTube and YouTube Shorts for this video to celebrate all the amazing niche hobbies that have become so popular this summer. This includes hobby horsing, lute playing, kintsugi, and my favorite, mini baking. Now, over the years, I have learned so much from YouTube, and I love that there are so many different communities and so many new hobbies to learn and watch over on YouTube and YouTube Shorts. Now, the most exciting part is that YouTube have actually partnered with the independent clothing brand Everpress to create a range of limited edition t-shirts which feature these unique niche hobbies. Now, these t-shirts are available in the UK, and if you want to get your hands on one of these t-shirts that feature mini cakes and also all the other niche hobbies, then I will put the link in the description below so you can head over and get your own t-shirt. Now, because mini cakes have become so popular, I thought in this week's video I would show you how to make your own miniature drip cake. I have fallen in love with making mini cakes. They are so much fun to make and they are super cute. So let's get started. First of all, we need to make the little sponges for our mini cakes, and I was having a look through my cutters, and this is the smallest one I have. So this is 2 inches in diameter. Now, you could make a small square or rectangle cake and cut these out, but these are actually the perfect size to cut from cupcakes. Now, just as I would with a larger cake, I'm going to take that dome off the top and also divide it into some layers. So I'm going to do 3 layers. Now, to cover this mini cake, I'm going to be using some American buttercream. I'm using my regular vanilla buttercream recipe, but I have actually added a small amount more milk just to make it super smooth, to try and make it easier to cover our mini cake. Now, I realise that my turntable is probably totally overkill, but I am going to need it in order to cover my cake. Now, I've just popped down a 5-inch acrylic disc, and I'm going to be using this really teeny tiny PME spatula. Now, I'm going to pop down some buttercream onto my board just to try and stick that cake down. As if you've ever tried to cover small cakes in buttercream, the smaller the cake you go, the more difficult it is, as it just moves all over the place. So I'm going to pop some buttercream between my layers. Now, if you're finding it really difficult to get your cake to stay still, one thing you can do is just take a bamboo skewer or a cocktail stick, and I'm just going to push that in the center just to give me something to hold. And that's just going to keep that cake still. Now, just as I would a regular size cake, I'm going to do a little crumb coat around the side. And this is going to lock in, firstly, any loose crumbs, and also give me a more stable base in order to add the final layer of buttercream. I've then got my metal scraping tool, and already that's a lot more stable with that buttercream around the outside. So I'm using my little spatula on the top, pulling in from the outside. So there we have the start of our little mini cake, and how cute is that looking? So I'm just going to pop this in the fridge just for around 15 minutes for that buttercream to firm up so that I can add the final layer around the edge. Now, for the cake board, I've actually got this 3-inch cake board. Now, this one has got a silver finish, so just as I would if I was making a larger cake, I'm going to cover this in some white fondant just to make it look a little bit better. Now, I'm using this really teeny tiny rolling pin. Because everything is a lot smaller scale, I'm going to roll this out until it's really thin, so around 1 millimeter in thickness. I've then got a little water pen to help that stick, and just use my craft knife to cut that out. Now, to neaten up those edges, I've got the most tiniest piece of white ribbon, and just stick it in place with a little bit of double-sided tape. Okay, so once that buttercream has firmed up, I'm going to add my final layer of buttercream around the outside. Now, you'd be surprised just how much adding that crumb coat really helps keep it stable. So I'm just starting by smoothing off that top. And again, going in with my scraper, and I'm just holding onto the board as I turn that turntable. I can then go in on the top, just pulling that buttercream into the center. Okay, so we've got our cake covered. So the next thing I thought I would do is add a mini drip around the outside. So I'm going to be using a ready-made drip. So this is just the Happy Drip by Happy Sprinkles. I'm not going to use this straight out of the bottle as I think the nozzle might be slightly too large. So I'm going to use the #1 piping nozzle. So it's a really teeny tiny piping nozzle. So I'm going to pop that into a piping bag along with some of my drip. I can then bring back in my cake and I'm just going to hold that piping bag directly above the edge of my cake, just allowing some of that drip to come out before moving the piping bag around half a centimetre. So I'm just creating those drips around the side. I'm then going to bring back in that really small cake board, run around the bottom of my cake. I can then move my cake across, just sticking it to that board with a little bit of buttercream. So I've created a slightly darker pink buttercream and I'm going to use this number 24 piping tip, which is like a really mini 1M. So I'm going to pop that into a piping bag, and again I'm going to chop down my piping bag, and that's just giving me this really little piping bag that will be easier to work with on our mini cake. So I'm going to bring that back in, and just on the top I'm going to create some little swirls. So just coming in around a centimetre. I've got these tiny little hundreds and thousands. I'm just going to add some of those onto those swirls. I then want to just finish this off with a border around the bottom. So I'm going to do a shell effect. So I found it easier to try and wrap that between my finger and my thumb. And I'm just going to lay that against my cake, kind of pulling up and pulling away. But then last time I'm just going to tuck that in. And there we have this super cute mini drip cake. I really hope you've enjoyed this video tutorial and you'll be able to use some of these techniques to make your own miniature cake. Now don't forget to click the link in the description below to head over to the Everpress website and pick your own limited edition t-shirt. Here on YouTube and over on YouTube Shorts, there were so many different hobbies and communities to discover. So until next time, bye!